Have you ever stood at the firing line, a .22 long rifle in hand, and wondered if this humble cartridge had already reached its peak? Well, think again. SHOT Show 2025 just blew the doors off that assumption. What went down in Las Vegas wasn't just another lineup of minor rimfire tweaks. It was a full-blown evolution, quiet, calculated, and absolutely game-changing. For decades, the .22 long rifle has been the everyman's cartridge. The round you learned on. The one that built your muscle memory, trained your fundamentals, and carried you from your first paper target to your first squirrel hunt. But this year, it feels like the industry finally decided that good enough wasn't good enough anymore. From Remington to CCI, from Federal to Aguila, every major ammo house walked into SHOT Show 2025 with something to prove. And man, did they deliver. You had rounds so quiet they could make a suppressed shot sound like a mouse sneeze. You had hypervelocity screamers so fast they practically burned a groove through the chronograph. And you had everything in between, each engineered to give shooters one more reason to fall back in love with rimfire. Let's start with the name that still turns heads in every ammo aisle, Remington. Yeah, the same green and yellow boxes that probably sat in your dad's tackle box right next to the old tin of gun oil. Their new Performance Wheelgun 22 is not a rebrand, it's a rebirth. This thing was engineered from the ground up, not slapped together for nostalgia points. The engineers at Remington went back to the drawing board, rebuilding this round piece by piece. We're talking a newly formulated primer compound designed for consistent ignition. No more click-then-bang moments that throw off your rhythm. They reinforced the brass casing and rim, giving it the backbone to survive finicky firing pins and rough extraction cycles. And the case head? Totally reprofiled to hold that primer material more securely than before. Every change is a direct response to the headaches that plague rimfire shooters everywhere, from the classic hammer-fired pistols to the new breed of .22 caliber AR-style rifles that chew through thousands of rounds every weekend. This new ammo is meant to feed them all. Now let's talk about the real-world data. The 40-grain load clocks in at an average of 1,248 feet per second at 50 yards. The lighter 38-grain load screams through at roughly 1,340 feet per second. Those are serious numbers for a rimfire. The only catch? The standard deviation sits north of 20 feet per second. That's still a little too much inconsistency for the precision-obsessed crowd. But here's the good news. Accuracy has taken a real leap forward. Group sizes have tightened by almost 1/2 inch compared to the old Golden Bullet, and that's no small feat. This means you're hitting more steel, printing tighter groups, and spending less time wondering why your point of impact shifted an inch to the left. Is it match grade? Not yet. It won't dethrone CCI's Mini-Mag or high-end European contenders like SK or Elay in the bench rest world. But that's not the mission here. The Performance Wheelgun 22 is for the range rat who shoots volume, not vanity. The hunter who wants his ammo to go bang every single time, even when the rifle's been dusted with a weekend's worth of backcountry grit. If Remington keeps this trajectory, tightening their velocity spread, refining that bullet plating, and maintaining that price edge, we might just be watching the comeback story of the decade in rimfire ammunition. And that's just the opening salvo. Because next up, we're going to talk about the quiet killer, the subsonic that doesn't just whisper, it vanishes into the background. If quiet is your weapon of choice, nothing on the market this year got more attention than CCI's Suppressor Max. This is not a marketing fluff piece dressed up as innovation. This is purpose-built subsonic ammunition engineered to vanish behind a suppressor and still do its job with authority. Suppressor Max runs at roughly 970 feet per second, deliberately kept below the speed of sound so you don't get that telltale supersonic crack ruining your stealth. The projectile is a 45-grain segmenting hollow point, and yes, it's designed to fragment on impact. That means controlled terminal performance that outperforms traditional soft points when you're dealing with pests or small game in tight, noise-sensitive environments. The bullet breaks into 3 predictable pieces, each doing real damage inside a small animal without relying on speed to deliver the effect. That's humane, efficient, and exactly what a responsible hunter needs when backyard ethics and neighbor relations are on the line. But performance on paper is one thing. In the real world, Suppressor Max lives up to its name. Paired with a quality suppressor, the report is more of a soft exhale than a gunshot. That's huge if your range sits close to houses, if you train during early mornings, or if you just prefer not to announce every sighting across the valley. Shooters report consistent groups, and more importantly, consistent terminal results compared to older subsonic offerings that sometimes just tickle a squirrel and leave you disappointed. Reliability is where this round truly separates itself. Subsonic ammo has a notorious reputation for being finicky in semi-automatic platforms, but CCI engineered Suppressor Max to cycle dependably. That means fewer stovepipes and fewer missed follow-ups when you need to make quick, humane shots. From rimfire pistols to semi-auto rifles, feeding and extraction are solid, and that makes a huge difference for anyone running doubles or rapid follow-up drills. Now let's be honest, this level of specialization carries a cost. Suppressor Max is premium priced compared to bulk plinking bricks. But if your priority is stealth without compromise, whether you're pest managing in a suburban yard or hunting on quiet public land, that premium buys you peace of mind, performance, and the kind of reliability you can stake a hunt on. There are tactical advantages too. If you're a trainer working with students on safe suppressed handling, this ammo lets you teach real-world engagement without waking the neighborhood or creating bad habits from off-sound signatures. For the backyard hunter, the segmenting hollow point reduces the risk of over-penetration and improves lethality at practical rimfire ranges. CCI's Suppressor Max isn't for everyone. If you rarely use a suppressor, or if your budget is strictly plinking focused, you'll find cheaper options that do the job well enough. But for shooters who treat silence as a performance metric, this round rewrites the rulebook. Up next, a lever-action game-changer that solves one of the oldest feeding problems in rimfire history, Federal's HammerDown series, and why nickel-plated brass might be the small tweak that makes your Henry or Marlin sing. Here's the honest truth. Small tweaks make big differences in the rimfire world. Federal didn't chase flash at SHOT Show 2025. They fixed a problem shooters have been cursing about since the lever gun was invented: feeding reliability. Enter the HammerDown rimfire line, and yes, the secret sauce is nickel-plated brass. That finish isn't just pretty, it reduces friction inside a tubular magazine, dramatically lowering the chance of a jam in your Henry or Marlin. Federal paired that slick case with a 40-grain copper-plated hollow point, tuned to run at about 1,200 feet per second. The result is a round that eats tubular magazines, gives predictable expansion on small game, and holds a flatter trajectory than bargain basement plinkers. If you're the kind of shooter who respects a lever rifle for its history and wants it to feed like a new rifle every time, this is your ammo. The packaging is smart too. 325 rounds per box for weekend warriors who don't like leaving the range early. Switch gears and you've got Aguila, the old reliable for budget-conscious shooters. Their super extra hollow point is the kind of workhorse that never pretends to be bench rest match ammo. It's a 38-grain copper-plated hollow point built to be affordable, to keep barrels cleaner, and to kill pests without drama. Expect mixed reliability depending on your gun. Some semi-autos will run it flawlessly, others will be picky. Pro tip, test a box in every gun before you commit to a pallet. That distinctive firing aroma. Yeah, Aguila has that nostalgic smell that feels like community ranges and summer shoots. Now, if you want speed and cleanliness, CCI's Clean 22. Hypervelocity is the gasoline on the rimfire bonfire. This is a 31-grain polymer-coated projectile screaming out of the muzzle at roughly 1,550 feet per second. That's blistering for a .22 long rifle. The polymer coat equals less lead fouling in barrels and suppressors. Shooters report cutting 60 to 80% of the grime out of their cleaning routine. The payoff is a flatter trajectory, more confident shots at extended distances, and less time with a rod in your hand. But remember, hypervelocity ammunition can be picky in certain platforms. Still, for rifles built to take that extra push, this stuff really shines. On the quieter end of the spectrum, Norma's TAC-22. Subsonic holds its ground. Running around 1,070 feet per second with a 40-grain hollow point, it avoids the transonic zone and pairs exceptionally well with suppressors for backyard or urban pest control. It drops faster downrange, sure, but inside practical rimfire distances it's surgical and discreet. Norma's manufacturing tolerances show in uniform, brass, and consistent bullets, a sleeper favorite for quiet, effective shooting. Finally, never sleep on the classic, Remington's standard velocity 40 grain load at roughly 1,150 feet per second. It's the balance, reliable feeding, modest fouling, and value that keeps you shooting without hemorrhaging cash. When a rifle likes it, it'll sing at 50 yards and even give you usable groups at 100. That's why so many shooters still toss a box of Remington in their range bag. Which one earns a slot in your kit depends on your mission: stealth, volume, distance, or price. Next part, we'll stitch all this together, build the decision map so you can pick the perfect round for every role. Here's the hard truth. Buying rimfire ammo is not a one-size-fits-all call. You don't shop for a single box and expect it to crush every roll. So let's build a real-world decision map. One you can use next time you stand in front of the ammo wall and your brain goes limp from options. I'll walk you through the mission profiles, the trade-offs, and the exact rounds we just covered so you can choose with confidence. First priority, stealth. If minimizing noise is your metric, you want subsonic performance and a load that was developed for suppressed use. That puts CCI's Suppressor Max and Norma's TX-22 subsonic at the top of the list. Suppressor Max is engineered to run at roughly 970 feet per second and deliver consistent fragmentation with a 45 grain segmenting hollow point. That means humane terminal performance and a report that disappears behind a suppressor. Norma's TAC-22 runs about 1,070 feet per second with a 40 grain hollow point, giving you quiet operation with reliable expansion. For stealth missions, prioritize suppression-optimized ammo and accept a more arched trajectory at distance. Second priority, cleanliness and longer effective range. If you run a suppressor often, or you hate digging lead out of barrels, CCI's clean. 22, Hypervelocity is the pick. The 31 grain polymer-coated projectile travels around 1,550 feet per second, flattening trajectories and cutting fouling dramatically. That polymer coat is the real maintenance game changer. You spend less time cleaning and more time shooting. Choose this when your platform can safely handle higher chamber pressures and when you want to stretch shots to 50 yards and beyond. Third priority, reliable feeding in traditional actions. For lever guns and tubular magazines, nickel-plated cases are not optional. They are essential. Federal's HammerDown line pairs nickel-plated brass with a 40 grain copper-plated hollow point running near 1,200 feet per second. That combination equals smooth feeding, lower friction in the magazine, and dependable cycling in Henry and Marlin rifles. If your hunting rig is a lever gun, this should be on your short list. Fourth priority, volume and budget. When you want to spend a whole Saturday without selling a kidney, Aguila's Super Extra and Remington's standard velocity loads are where you look. Aguila gives you an affordable 38 grain copper-plated hollow point that keeps barrels cleaner than raw lead. Remington's 40 grain standard velocity at about 1,150 feet per second is the balance. Respectable accuracy, low fouling, and everyday reliability. Test them in your guns. If they group well, buy more. Final priority, precision or match aspirations. If you chase cloverleafs and one-hole groups, you still look to premium names and specialized match lines from CCI and top European makers. Those options will beat general-purpose rounds on the bench every time. Here's the practical checklist. 1. Define your mission. Quiet, clean, reliable feeding, cheap volume, or match grade. 2. Test a box in the specific firearms you own. 3. Log the results. Accuracy, cycling, and fouling. 4. Rotate ammo based on roll. Suppressor sessions get the subsonics. Long-range practice gets hypervelocity, and lever gun hunts get nickel-plated cases. So what do you carry in the range bag right now? A stealth round, a clean hypervelocity, a nickel-plated lever load, and a bulk plinker. That combo covers 90% of missions without drama. Drop your test results in the comments. Tell us what your rifle favored and where you lost confidence. We'll use real data from the community to refine this map every month. Stay precise, stay safe, and treat every round like it matters. Because it does.